These are the Internet Interrogatories.
So I can read your mind, believe it or not. You're thinking, what the hell is an interrogatory? And it's just a question. It's a way of questioning. The way I learned it is it's when a lawyer writes a question down on a piece of paper and hands it to the other party, and they have to answer it on a piece of paper. It's just a way of documenting a response. And in that context, it is kind of a gotcha thing, okay? You have to answer, and you gotta stick to your answer. That's my final answer. In this context, however, it's just my way of thinking. I'm an inquisitive person. I love to ask questions. I don't know if there's a such thing as a stupid question. Some people would say, if you already know the answer to the question, then why are you asking it? But an attorney would say, I would never ask a question I don't know the answer to. So, there's that. So I don't know. In this context, these are some cool stories from people I've met on the internet, or that our stories are somewhat internet related. The internet is a fascinating place. I'm 31. I'll be 32 this summer. And I grew up around the birth of the internet. I was born in 91. And I grew up playing outside. I didn't have a tablet to keep me occupied or preoccupied. We went out and we played in the sandbox. We played tag and chase. We just had fun doing stuff. The first time we got a computer, I was probably maybe 8 or 9 years old. I was thankful. My dad was a cop in the South Bronx up until around the time I was born, and then he became a fireman. But as much of a tough guy and he is a hero that he is, he was always very fascinated with technology. I remember him we had like a gateway computer, and I remember playing like Lemmings on the 3.5 inch floppy. We didn't have the internet until, oh shit, maybe I gotta see internet. I'm sure everybody remembers those AOL CDs, that were everywhere. Brilliant marketing. If there's enough of them out there, somebody will put one in the optical drive and figure out how to use it. So I remember getting, I don't remember what my first game was. Probably, I remember there was the Jump Start series, some hunting games, and all sorts of stuff. But I always remember my dad trading stocks. I'd play Counter-Strike on dial-up, 1.6. I remember buying Counter-Strike from EB Games. I remember going home and trying to figure out how to install it and trying to figure out what it was. And then playing a first-person shooter over dial-up, 56K. Boom, doom, boom, doom. It was a miracle if I got a kill. A miracle. It was the best day ever. If you got 2 or 3 kills in a row, oh my god. It was fantastic. So the reason I made this podcast, and by I mean a group of us, was just to share all these stories I have. And the kids these days were just born into the internet. They don't know what dial-up was. Broadband was standard. There was DSL too. If you had DSL, that was still over the phone line. But it was, oh my god. Mamma mia, be as easy. It was great. But I remember trying to convince my parents that this was a worthwhile monthly bill. And sure enough, the internet just kind of took over everything. Tom was my first friend on MySpace. AOL Instant Messenger was the coolest thing ever. I remember my first attempts at flirting with girls was over AIM. It was a perfect time to be born, really. GPS was, had been invented probably in 89 or 88, or, the military was on top of that, and it switched over to civilian life. But I remember having to print out MapQuest directions, and somebody would hold them while the other person was driving, and you navigate for them. I guess the whole point with my rambling is just enjoy these stories. This whole series is just going to be me interviewing a person, and then we kind of talk about our adventures, shenanigans, how we met, how we've stayed connected over time. And I think this is a worthwhile listen. So thank you for listening to me ramble on long enough. This episode, I will be interviewing Mr. Brad Williams. Yeah, you'll hear it in the interview, but so I used to loan money to people over Reddit. I think Borrow is what the subreddit is called now. I was attending Gonzaga Law School, and I was absolutely miserable. And I thought, like, hey, why not loan money to people who need it over the internet? I realized these people probably couldn't get a loan in the traditional way. They needed money, and they were going to pay me back with interest. Great. Obviously, there was some risk involved, but it was a fantastic experience. I can't say I recommend being an internet loan shark, but it's a thing. Other than that, I think you're ready. So this is me talking to Mr. Brad.
I'm Brad. How you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. I am okay. I mean, I've gone through a lot of shit recently, but I couldn't be happier. Life is good.
Yeah, you got to keep the right attitude, right?
Well, what's the secret to that?
Make sure that whatever you're doing, no matter how bad it is, it's fun. You just have to tell yourself it's fun, and you got to do something a little quirky with it so that it is fun. It doesn't always work, maybe at a death or a funeral, but let that roll through your head. You just take that moment, whatever it is, and just make something fun. You're broke down on the side of the road and it's raining. Enjoy the way the puddles splash. You just got to do something.
So my name is Christopher. Your name is Brad, Mr. Bradley Williams.
Yeah.
Can you tell me how we
met on Reddit doing a loan, and then I invited you to fly out and go hunting. And you oddly took me up on that offer, which was awesome. Most people don't have that kind of adventure, and you need that kind of adventure.
I remember taking Bowser, fucking slapping a service vest on him, getting him on a plane, getting him to Houston, and then meeting up with you. And of course, you and Nina were just the coolest fucking people. And then I met Colby.
Yeah.
Colby was a trip.
Yeah, he's good people.
And then I remember, we made an attempt at boar hunting. We didn't see any boars, but we saw one bird that I may or may not have shot at. And we definitely didn't shoot any squirrels, did we?
No. But someone might have disagreed under a little duress. But yeah, we definitely saw a game warden too. Actually, two of them. Yeah. That was an adventure.
I remember having a bunch of guns and there too many, way too many guns. We had way too many guns. And I remember getting fucking detained and interrogated until Colby said, "Oh yeah, we shot at a squirrel," which we didn't even fucking shoot at a squirrel. It was complete fucking bullshit. It didn't happen, and that's why you let the police interrogate you.
He got nervous and ran his mouth. then you started talking, and I was smart. I just kept my mouth shut and stood back. And they were so involved with the two of you, especially after he admitted to shooting a squirrel that definitely wasn't shot at. And all this was over. If we really shot at a squirrel, it wouldn't be,
we'd have a fucking squirrel. We'd be holding it.
Yeah. But he was nervous, and he thought, oh no, and started to lie, and that's it was just a nervous reaction, right? But
right.
Yeah, they were so involved with you guys talking that they ignored me the entire time and never even took the guns. And then me being an asshole, I just wanted to let them know that they weren't very thorough. So I'm like, hey, you want to check these too? Yeah, but that wasn't too bad. I mean, we were in the wrong. We didn't have our hunt license. We could have went and got them.
You don't need one for boars. I looked it up after the fact.
No, you didn't. Well, the law, the way was that if you have boar on your land, and we was on his land, yes, you have boar on his land, and they're being a nuisance, then yeah, you can go and shoot them, and they were a nuisance. That's why we were kind of going out there hoping to get one. But the smart answer would have been to still had licenses, but we got off easy. We genuinely did. It was just go get a hunting license and $25. I mean, that was a good warning. It never happened again and won't.
Brad, I remember them telling, oh, he's an out of towner. We better take him to jail because we don't think he's going to show up. I remember that. And I remember you saying, I can vouch for him. This will be taken care of. And then I remember they said, you can go pay the judge in the trailer up the street. And that fucking boggled.
Yeah. That town is, Texas as a whole is,
Lufkin, right?
No, we were in Nigton. No, I swear to God, that's its name, and the name was actually.
You can't make this up.
No. But here, I'll give you a little history on Nigton, actually, because it's actually beautiful. It's actually quite beautiful. Nigton was a town where Black people went and made their own town. This was back whenever they were really. So they did. They went and they called it Nigton. That was their name for it. And now it's run by nothing but a bunch of white people, and there's no Black people even there, and it's really corrupt.
How American.
That was the cool history of Nigton, though.
That makes me really happy to fucking hear.
Yeah, it was successful.
Okay, so after we went boar hunting in Nigton, well, I was in law school at the time. I remember that. I remember a bunch of shit happening, dropping out of law school. And then did I just not message you for like a couple of years?
No, we talked a couple times, and then I think you were having some trouble and then disappeared for a bit. But I don't know what all happened there because I'm not a drama person. So I'm not like, hey, if you seem okay, we're okay.
I remember that. Yes. Yeah, that's like 12 other stories in the meantime. And I also remember, so when I loaned people money, I liked the helping people aspect of it. I'm not going to say I didn't enjoy they weren't really loan shark rates. Generally like 10 to 25%, not APR, but just on the loan. And I'd work with people. And I remember doing that for a while on, I think the subreddit turned into /borrow. I don't remember what it was originally called.
Or loan or something.
Yeah. Yep. It was loan and then turned into borrow or something like that. That's not important, but I remember, you were one of probably, 15 people I had loaned total, and I was making decent money on it because I remember telling some of my classmates I was making like $20 a day in interest, on all my loans. And then what happened with that was I got greedy. Somebody messaged me, and what they were saying didn't really match up to their profile. And I remember fucking sending them this loan. And then a couple days later, they asked me for another loan on top of it before they paid the first one back, which is another huge red flag. And my dumbass was like, okay, sure. They're good for it. And I remember like reading some stuff on their Reddit profile that made it seem like they were a woman, but the picture and the ID they sent me was a Black dude, which, that's just facts right there. And but he looked like a reasonable young kid, and I was like, all right, let's give it a shot. And Of course, I never got paid back on it, and that wiped out all my capital I had for doing loans. So I stopped doing. And then more recently, let's fast forward to maybe a couple months ago. I wanted to do voiceover work, and you've done music for what, 25 years now?
Longer probably, but yeah, long time.
And I remember saying, like, instead of part of the money for the loan, like make a song, because I thought that would be a cool, like, to own a copyright. I felt like that was like a more important thing to me than it would be to just get $20, $200 or whatever, small pocket change on a loan. And I remember, because I originally gave you the loan so you could get your guitar at a pawn. I remember seeing that story, and I was like,
That was
"Bro,
to
this
avoid
guy."
pawning. Yeah, it was more to avoid pawning it, I think, because I didn't want to pawn it. It's because
I have lost so much shit to pawn, so much shit. When you can sell it, and get a personal loan, or
interest rate
kneecap
too.
breaking.
I saw on Reddit there was a thing, and people's interest rates were lower, and I thought, hey, what a good idea, people helping people kind of thing, and I participated. And I loaned people after that too. I had similar experiences where I just wasn't getting paid, right? So it wasn't profitable, which is what I'd hoped. Hey, maybe this is profitable, and for some maybe it is, but I found it to be not worth the hassle, man.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. And then I remember loaning a guy named Aaron Curtin, who had Apex Cycles in Davis, California. And he was struggling to keep his business afloat. And I remember loaning him. I didn't even loan him money. I just invested like $2,000 into his business, and it did fold and go under. But Aaron graduated from Harvard Business School in the last couple of years.
Nice.
And I'm hoping to get him on for another episode. But what is my point in this is the present. So so that was in like what, 2016, 2017. So 5 years later, what are you doing today?
I'm making music. I'm starting up a company I'd rather not talk about too. And I make music and I do animations. We're a big festival that we're doing in August. And then we've got a big tent show we're doing next month out at Puffer's Place. If anybody's in Maine, head to Puffer's Place on the 22nd of next month and come out and talk, enjoy the festivities. There's going to be some dab tents set up. There's going to be giveaways, all really amazing things if you're into that, and live music and a lot of booths. Yeah, come out and visit.
I just imagine like Grateful Dead was a little bit before my time, but that's all I can imagine. And I hope to make it there. And so if people want to look up your music, how would they do that?
Yeah, my music's pretty personal. I'm not going to sell myself here, but hey, Puffer's Place.
All right, you got it, man. Thank you so much for doing this, and I love you, brother.
Okay, we've reached that time of the show. It's time for all the shout outs and thank yous. When I see the finish line, it's time to sprint. Thanks for teaching me that, Dad. None of these are sponsored. If you want to support the show, my hashtag is WorkDoneWell. That's WorkDoneWell. That's WorkDoneWell.com. We do the shifty jobs you could be bothered to do. I'm going to try and get this all done before the end of this song. Shout out to Subby and AFSub. A big thank you to our guest, Mr. Bradley Williams. Brad and Nina, thank you. You guys have been the family I always needed. I owe you everything. The Internet Interrogatories have been executive produced by Nicky B. Thank you, Nick B. The best editor anybody could ask for. Shoutouts, Dan Carlin from the Hardcore History Podcast. Thank you, sir. Taught me a love of history and embraced and embellished my imagination through not fiction. Facts are stranger than fiction. All these people, huge thank you. Sarah Robertson, That's Art Attack for You on Instagram. Check the link in the description. Elena from Fiverr. It's Elena_graphics with an X. She works for pennies on the dollar and delivers gold. She's done all of the art for this show. Check her out, please. The girl with the glow. Sounds like Sam _ on Instagram. Been a mentor not only to me, but to the rest of the community, and we thank you. Steve Landis. That's Nim with a silent M. He did the promo at the beginning of the show. Mr. Micah Slappa. He's keeping bald sexy. Just don't stick your hand inside me, bud. First to 11. What a great band. Their marketing team, especially. Concrete Castles. Check them out on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, wherever you get your music. Timmy James and Timmy Birch. You guys are amazing. Thank you, Dad. Timmy. Timmy is actually the only sponsor of the show. He sent me $80 and told me to talk about autism. Autism, something near and dear to my heart. I've got a touch of it. Belinda Calhoun, thank you for being the mom. Thank you for being my mom. You might not be my mother, but you'll always be my mom. Shannon from Warwick, thank you. Sam Caraccia, what a dude. Probably my first friend ever. SC Static, Spotify, YouTube. Check out those music videos. Amazing. Well done, sir. Yasmin, the Persian Kitty. Prrr. Andrew Kiker, Colin Harrison, Dylan from Ellensburg. In Australia, we got Subby from Sublime's World. Check out his gaming stream on Facebook. Look up Af Sub. That album they dropped, one of the best things I've heard ever. That's APHSUB. AFSUB. Scoville Unit. Spose from Maine. Michelle and John from the Video Game Outsiders podcast. I listened to you guys when I was a kid. You inspired me then. You inspire me now. Congratulations on 20 years of podcasting. You prove that broadcasting is not podcasting, but you make everything work, and you're hilarious, and keep doing what you're doing. Michelle, Airstream Queen 7 on Instagram and also on AMP. Tiffany, Adam Scorgi, the union, the business behind getting high. One of the best documentaries of all time. He just released Bisping, about the MMA fighter Michael Bisping. Shout out to NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. I tried to work with them in college. They've helped me out all these years. I'm glad to see change is finally happening. David on Discord, also my Counter-Strike buddy. Potluck, Humboldt County, California, keeping the underground real. One take, one track. Still letting you know everybody can rap. Dr. Lisa Hayward from UW. Thank you for being my accountability partner. Salem Hush, the Wildland Firefighter Association. Stop Soldier Suicide, nonprofit. Dave from Spokane, not the DJ, the other Dave. Thank you, Dave. Co Wetzel, Levi Miller and his family, thank you. Anthony Pica of Vio's Journey on YouTube. Mikey Cajon, or is it Mickey? I'm not sure. All the good Ashleys out in the world. Harry Mack and his team, his street team, everybody. They're doing great things. Glad to see you guys are blowing up. Philip Ridgely, crew boss Patrick. All the guys at Patrick Fire, I salute you. Ryan Willie, Butch. It's good enough for the girls I go with. Rob Mills, thank you for the donation and raising awareness for suicide in general and soldier and fireman suicide in particular. Rory Calhoun. Jesse Lorenzo Paint Company, Diane Bigler, Bill Blessing, the Vanderplatt family from New York, Warwick, New York, Donnie Littlejohn, Luke and Kia Hagen, Rayon Don from Boise, Connor, aka CRKX, raising awareness for the deaf community, Billy Seawright and Lexi from Spokane, Kep Leppelman, Keisha Anderson, Tomahawk Steelworks, Coyote? We don't know. Check him out on AMP. Great New York show. Same with Jadira. Just an amazing lady. Keep staying in school. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing awesome. All my New York people, thank you. Max, the musician, historian. Bridgeport Construction. Wilfred and Holly Pickens. Kim Fernandez. Downside, Jeremy from Instacart, Ben and Daniel, David Myers, the voice actor, Ben from Portland, Oregon. Just kidding, he lives in Port Orchard, Washington. Paul from Ontario, Aaron Curtin, Grant, Eric, Brad, and Alex. You guys are all awesome. Anthony K, Leslie from Spokane, Brad Myers, Jamar, and Andrea. Thank you for the invaluable therapy and insights you've allowed me to have. Officer Rambin and Sean Kelly from Washington County. Prograde Enterprises, Susan Nelson, and the rest of the Qualls family. Jenny Sanzari and her family. Uncle Brian, Mike and Mikey, Billy Seawright, Mia and Mary Jane from somewhere, I don't know. Ed from Manifesto Radio Podcast. Dave and Gene Qualls, Grandpop, I love you. Anders from Leadify. Danielle and Jessica. John Fox. Michael Schiraldi and his family. Jack Laskow. My 10th grade teacher, Mrs. Insinger. Miss Duda. Miss Doty. Miss Hamilton. Miss Perez. Miss Conti. Chance Adcox. Nick Grooms. Jeff and Brad from Spokane Community College. Kep Leppelman and all the Alaska fishermen keeping us fed. Professor Sean from the U.S. Coast Guard. It's kind of rude to call somebody a savant. In public, at least. Uncle Dave and Aunt Karen. Weed Maps. Ben from Patrick. Brooke, not Hellman Dollar. BB Genetics. Donnie Duck Entertainment. Everybody at mastering.com. Josh, Jake, Dane, Michael, and Caleb. You guys are doing awesome things. Elena from Fiverr. The nonprofit K9 Heroes for Heroes. Brian Manley. The Multnomah County Animal Services. Thank you for keeping my dog safe. Miss Millie, I love you, girl. Thank you for helping me. And thank you for all the service animals. Helping people with PTSD, anxiety, depression, and a multitude of other things. Please check out Prolific Audio. It's a prolific audio community on Discord. This episode is dedicated to all the classy ladies out there, the real men of genius, and our American heroes. Those are the soldiers, cops, nurses, EMTs, firemen, and the doctors. Thank you, guys. It's been a production of ProlificAudio.com and NewVentures.Media, a WorkDoneWell company.